Thank you so much for having the chance to tell you a bit about the work. As you already mentioned, it's a most well-known project because probably it's the first which was founded in 1990, and this was a very interesting year. As you already know, the wall came down in this year when our organization was founded. We are not an organization of our own. We are a standalone project inside another project which is called MANEO. And MANEO is the so-called gay switchboard in Berlin. It's an information center founded, financed by the Ministry of Health. We say in Berlin, we say the Senate department, because our administration is comparable to other states in Germany, but we have different names for it. So MANEO was actually coming into existence during the AIDS crisis, and was targeting gay men who have been affected by HIV and by the problems referring to HIV. We are 22 years old now, and we have achieved a lot of successes and a lot of progress here in Germany, and I would like to mention to you some of these developments. First of all, our location here, as you can see in Berlin, it's in Schöneberg, and we have a so-called rainbow area, Regenbogenkiez, what we call it. You have other expressions in other cities, like in Chicago you call it Boys Town, in Montreal, in Toronto you call it Gay Village, in San Francisco you call it Castro Street. So you have many. This is alarm. Okay. So we also have a so-called rainbow neighborhood, and this is on the left side, as you can see here, between four squares, and the most well-known square is the Nollendorfplatz. And our work has to be seen always toward the background of our own history, and the persecution of gay men under the penal code, the paragraph 175, and this penal code was responsible that at least 15,000 people, 15,000 gay men were sent to concentration camps in Germany and killed. Probably much more, but they found out until now they were about 15,000. And here, as you can see, this is the so-called Homo Monument in Berlin, facing the Holocaust Memorial. It's a single stone, and you can see a little window inside this single stone showing two people kissing. This video is changed from time to time. It started with two men kissing each other, and now it's showing two lesbians kissing each other. This stone is not only for commemorating the prosecution of gay men, but also has a look into the future, and is also commemorating the prosecution of gays and lesbians and LGBT worldwide. So it is not only a memorial to look back, but also to look forward, what's still going on. And toward the history means we actually have a very, very interesting history of LGBT activities in the 1920s and in the 1930s in Berlin. not many know about this. So what is most important about it, we have a tradition. We have an historical conscience, and we have to preserve this conscience of homosexual activities, which have started long time ago, a so-called liberation movement. And you probably, or maybe not, you have heard about Christopher Isherwood, who was a very famous writer, and on two of his novels, the musical Cabaret is related. So the musical Cabaret actually takes place in the area of Neuendorfplatz in Berlin. So it describes wonderfully how LGBT people were living, and MANEO just have started to preserve this historical conscience, and a book which I only have 2 copies for you here, telling a lot of stories about gays and lesbians in this historical neighborhood. We have also famous people like Erich Kästner, Emil and his, what do you call it in English? Emil and the Detectives, a wonderful children book, and a beautiful movie made in the 30s, and you can still see in this movie Berlin how it looked like in the 1930s. You have a lot of wonderful perspectives on streets and places which were destroyed in the war later then. We have many more locations like the El Dorado, which was visited by Marlene Dietrich and Klaus Mann. So it was a very well-known area, and is again a very important area. So that's where we are based, and to show you our activities, we have actually 4 up to 5 core activities, and we try to keep them together. This is something what is unique to MANEO. And this is victim support, recording, hate crime, anti-gay violence, prevention work, it's empowerment and networking, and it's about resources. Resources means we do not only receive grants by the government, but we also have to make up our own money. We have to collect up to 10,000 euros every day as our part of the costs we have in our work, for our work. So I would like to tell you about these 4 core activities. First of all, this is the victim support, to show you some examples what it means. Here you can see a graffiti in one of our subway stations telling "No gay area, kill gays." So this is what we document, what we photograph, and we try to document as much as possible. That's another documentation, gay men who are cruising. We have so-called cruising areas in almost every big large cities. You have hot spots where gay men meet, and very often offenders go into these areas to cause violence and to find victims. This is a very typical form of hate crime, if you go into these areas to find your target. And this happens every year. Every year we have, since years, injuries. This is another example of a couple of gay men whose problem was they were walking hand in hand on the street. So all of a sudden they were attacked by several men, and the worst of all this is that this took place during the Carnaval der Kulturen in Berlin, which is actually a very multicultural event, and this is a very, very sad story. It caused a lot of problems in Berlin. This is another picture of a recent victim brutally attacked, and also almost his skull was broke and was fixed. He has several plates in his face. So I just want to give you some of those impressions, what we are working on. And this is letters, intimation letters we receive all the time, telling here in English means gays have to be sent to the ovens to Auschwitz. This is what we receive all the time. It's intimidating, but we believe as a project, also as a target for these offenses, we have to go through this. We have to work against this sort of violence. We have to help the victims. So we will not, how do you say, surrender. Victim support means we are working in a network. We have built up a network of partners. We have police as a partner. We have the medical part, like doctors, gay-friendly doctors, LGBT-friendly doctors. We have crisis centers. We have psychologists, all so-called gay-friendly. They are not all gay, lesbian people, but they are skilled. They know what they are doing, and victims who approach them, who go to them, don't need to explain everything from the start. This is so important, and many people feel very bad if they have to explain why they are gay. So it makes no sense to go to those people. We have legal advice, we have lawyers we can refer to, and in our network, and we talked about this yesterday, what is also so important is to find out more about families and friends, in what way they can stabilize victims. So this is the starting point of our work. We look at this very close, and then we continue with further activities referring to other activities. What is also very important, we talked about this yesterday, is the supportive social network. You call it a safe place, and this is what also is so important in our work. People ask for safe places in the way, where can I meet people like me? Where can I go to? They like to know about sport activities. In Berlin, one of the largest sport organizations is a lesbian and gay organization with more than 3,000 members, and they offer all sorts of activities, not only football, but also swimming and riding horses, whatsoever. And very often we find that victims also lack on social in social networks. This is something very striking in working with victims of anti-violence. So this is what we are referring to. This is the one part. The second part is recording. We have a so-called working hypothesis, thank you, on which we work. It means anti-gay violence act indicates a concrete action or an omission committed by human against other humans, institutions or things with the intention to do physical, mental or material damage because his, her actual suspected or perceived homosexual orientation. This also shows we have victims who have been attacked and are not gay. This happens so often that some friends are in the subway, some friends walk on the street, and all of a sudden they are attacked because offenders believe they are gay, and it again shows what we have to look at if we talk about homophobic incidents. It's not about the homosexuality of the victims, but it's about the motivation of the offenders, what it's about. So it doesn't it doesn't matter if the victim is gay or not. We have reporting means we do our documentation. We figure out in our numbers what victims can be related to homophobic incidents. We also take care of victims of other incidents. It's not only homophobic incidents. We have also victims of domestic violence. We have also victims of other cases of violence like rape, sexual assaults, and so on. Of course, as a victim support organization, as we work, we are open to all victims in this case. And as you can see here, we had 269 cases in Berlin, but we had almost 800 people approaching us. 800. So that's about the number we work on every year. And if you realize the background of our organization, we are only 2 full-time workers and we are 10 volunteers. So the basis is not that big, but we do our best, and the network we work in is very stable, so we can refer to a lot of partners and they assist. So as you can see here, the yellow part is what we call very clear committed homophobic incidents. The orange part on the left, we are not very sure if they are really homophobic incidents. There are information missing, and the orange one on the left, the 3% is transphobic violence. The violet one is domestic. The green part is other sorts of violence, and also the green one is inside the scenery, violence between gay men. And other incidents it's a lot of different sorts. Also, because this is a report we have to give to our administration, we have to differentiate very clearly. It also includes anti-lesbian violence, because our project is for gay men. We have another project who works for anti-lesbian violence, and the figures are a bit different. I will tell you a bit more. This is
what does it domestic mean?
Häusliche Gewalt.
Yeah, but what kind of?
It means that gay men among each other fight.
Among each other.
Yes, yes, and this also has to do a lot with homophobic problems. It's about malehood and so on. It's very interesting to.
Sorry, did I get it right? In that case, you have homophobic.
No, it's not.
Among homosexuals.
No, it's no. What I'm trying to explain is that the background of these fights among each other refers to difficulties in coming out, to difficulties dealing with homophobia and heterosexism. So this is why we also take care of this.
I think I've got the picture now.
Yeah. So these are the update numbers, a bit different from last year. As you can see, we have many more indicated very clearly as homophobic incidents, and less who are not so clear. So this is a little change, and we have almost the same numbers of attacks. Again, almost 290.
Bastian, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
How does this then fit when you're working with law enforcement compared to the number of anti-Semitic or ethnic race offenses? I mean, simply, would this make up the majority of reported hate acts in Berlin in its entirety?
Oh, you want all the figures of hate crime?
Comparison
Um,
roughly.
Yes, it's the incidences we have on the right side, the right wing motivated crimes. The figures in Berlin would be about the same.
So it's
About the same.
50-50.
Yes, but I will try to explain that our figures are different from the figures from the police, because the police is counting differently, and of course many cases are not reported to the police, but also to us, but to us. So that makes a difference too.
Can I follow up with one thing, and maybe you'll talk about this? When I worked with the LA Gay and Lesbian Center, I found that the people who came to that
Yes.
anti-violence project were more violent crimes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the violent crimes went to the center, and the property crimes that were LGBT
It's interesting,
went
yes.
to the police.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's more the robbery cases
They come to
who
the
come
center.
to the police.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For material.
The material,
Yeah. But like sexual assault against a lesbian or something would
not.
come to you.
Yes, and the typical harassment cases of harassments, like what's very typical in not only in Berlin, but happens very often in context of homophobic incidents, are if people are spit on. So two gay men walk hand in hand, people passing by and spit on them. This happens very often.
May I? When it comes to the police, a very big, huge reason why you go to the police is the insurance.
Yes. Yes, it's an insurance problem.
Actually, yeah, you
Yes.
won't gain anything.
Yes, but since we have these Victim Compensation Act in Germany, it means that that a victim of crime receives 100% medical treatment, whatever sort of medical treatment is necessary, even mental treatment, if you need therapy or if you need a cure, something like this. This will be paid by this act, but it must be reported to the police. There must be certain steps be passed, otherwise they refuse compensation. So sometimes it's very important that a victim is going directly and straight to the police, otherwise it can be failed and the victim has a problem in fully compensation. Of course, we have our insurance system and always something is being paid, but it's more the question about fully paid, and it's also about what we have here if the government is going to pay rent. I mean, if you are so badly physically harmed, then and you can't work anymore, then you can apply for a rent, and this is being paid by the government. So this also can be refused, or you can have a lot of difficulties. This again shows you the forms of violence. Last year we have 3 killings in Berlin. First time after 5 years of silence. We were very happy to have no killings on gay persons, and again last year we had 3. This year we have already 1 in Berlin. It's very sad, and we have to increase our activities again. And as you can see, the main parts of violence is this one here. It is insults. The majority of cases is insult. Then it's threatening, intimidation, threatening. It's bodily harm, yeah, purely bodily harm, and this is robbery, yeah. We know actually that there's much more robbery cases, but not reported to the police and not reported to us, but we know about this. This is another factor I try to explain. These are the numbers of the police, just as an example. All hate crime against LGBT people have to be reported and has to be counted, listed up, and although we have a law which makes it compulsory in all over Germany, in all states in Germany, to list up anti-gay, hate crime against LGBT people, in not all states this is done. And in Berlin, it's a funny story, although we have this law since 2001, only they found out in 2007 they had the law. And all of a sudden they had to go into the figures and start to count. And the furthest they went to is 2006. This is really, really an interesting story. So now they take care, and you can see the numbers are rising slowly, and this is not because the homophobic incidences are rising, but the awareness is rising. Yeah. And we have a part in this awareness rising. And one part of this awareness rising started in 2006 when we started a survey in Germany. It's the so-called MANEO Umfrage, the MANEO survey 1, MANEO survey 2. It was actually built or planned as a survey for only Berlin, but when we went to and asked for cooperation among gay platforms, online platforms, we received an overwhelming support. And then all of a sudden this survey, which we published as printouts, we handed out almost 100,000 papers, questionnaires through magazines in Berlin, and we received we started an online survey as well. So what happened from all over Germany? People participated, and it's the biggest survey ever done among gay men about their experiences of hate crime, of anti-gay violence, which is unique. And 24,000 participants we had in the first year, and 17,500 participants in the second year. You can find the reports on our homepage. Unfortunately, we only have them in German, because we had not enough money to translate them. It's most interesting because we only asked for experiences of the recent 12 months, no more. And what is also important, it's not a representative survey, because we ask everybody to participate in this. If you had experiences or not, it doesn't matter. We ask also about fear of homophobic incidences, not only experience, but also about fear and other interesting questions. In Berlin, 3,000 people participated, and 1,000 alone from Berlin reported about gay incidences during the recent 12 months. And it showed us how high we have to understand the dark figures. It's much, much more than we thought of. And so 2/3 did not experience anything, but 1/3 experienced, and these were 1,000. And we asked, what sort of crimes did you experience? And the majority reported about harassment, intimidation, harassment, and but also about 10% about physical harms, about 10%. So we asked, what is the area where all these violence take place? And what we found out was the violence, the majority of violent incidents take place in public, not in gay areas. It's on the street and in public transport systems. And the second area is school. And if we go into the age groups, who are the victims, then it's actually the young ones till 18. It's the majority of the victims, if you compare the age groups. So it's about 60%. 60% reported about homophobic incidents they experienced. If we ask about the incidents and what sorts of incidents are reported to the police or not, we found out that alone 40% of all the robberies were not reported. 40%. And even 1/3 of serious bodily harm were not reported. And the majority of harassment and intimidation, it's 96% not reported. 96%. So what is interesting is we ask, of course, about the reasons. Why did you not make any report? And the majority.
It's going on and on.
Oops, sorry. The majority of the answers were, well, we feel the police will not treat us properly. We feel it makes no sense. And the police will not catch the offenders. Sorry? Okay, I have to run up. Oh, I'm sorry. So we have, what we
we started a little bit later.
Okay, we developed characteristics which helps to identify homophobic incidents. This was not our idea when we invented the system. We picked it up from the US, from the Lesbian and Gay Task Force in New York, because they started with this identifying typical characteristics. What makes a homophobic incident so characteristic? And we developed this list and continued to work on this list. And we took all our experiences from reported crimes into developing these characteristics. And now we have a list of characteristics which again helps the police and the state attorney, the public prosecutors, helping them to identify this. And we are now training the police in Berlin to sensibilize them to identify these homophobic incidents. It's not a system which makes it for sure that this is a homophobic incident, but it helps to understand. I would like to show you these 6 typical characteristics, and they refer to witness perspectives, to offender characteristics, to offense characteristics, crime scene characteristics, victim characteristics, and time characteristics. It means, for example, witness characteristics, victim characteristics, people immediately concerned, people immediately concerned by the crime, view in the crime a prejudice-motivated anti-gay act of violence. So it's important what the perspective of the victim is. The police have to understand and to take this into account. If a victim comes to the police and say, I'm sure this accident or this incident was anti-gay, then the police has to pay attention on this. They just can't say, oh, I don't believe it. And this very often happened. So this is one characteristic. Another characteristic is the offender characteristics, which we again differentiate in 2. I don't know. There's something working. So I don't want to get into this too deep, but just to tell you that we have developed characteristics, and we talk about this, and we are continuing to work on these characteristics. So I just jump through this here. Okay, prevention. Because you were also asking about good practice on prevention. We work on 4 different levels. It's what we differentiate in society level, in regional levels, in scene levels, and individual levels. It means educational work in society. It means to perceive Berlin as a place with very characteristic places, people and so on. So you also have to specialize to the urban situation of Berlin. You have to work in Berlin, and that's what we are paid for. We have to work in Berlin. And a scheme level means that at this moment the LGBT scene differentiates so much that we have to follow these developments. Places are changing, approaches are changing, the perspective of people are changing. There's so much going on in Berlin at the moment. It's interesting on the one side, but it also makes it a problem to us to run after these developments and to find access to these different scenes to do our prevention work. If we want to do good prevention work, we have to target the groups, the differences, and then to develop a good strategy to meet these different groups. And this also is important in our LGBT perspective. Just to give you some examples, what it means, the Berlin perspective alone, in this year we will train about 1,000 policemen in Berlin. About characteristics, about our approach of victim support. We go very much into detail. We make role plays with the police, how what they can do if they approach a scenery and if they are not sure if they have a victim or not in front of them, how to behave, and so on. So going into very practical work. We go into schools, although we are not the only project in Berlin doing school work, but we do this work also in schools. We go to the scenery, we do night work, we go to cruising places, we go to party locations, we are giving information during important LGBT events. We have several of these events in Berlin. We have the Teddy Award during the International Film Festival in Berlin, which is a very important event in Berlin. We have the Gay and Lesbian Street Fair. We have founded many years ago, bringing together 350,000 people for a weekend. We have the Gay Pride the week later, and we have Folsom Street Fair, and so on and so on. There are several events, and we have a wonderful club scene, and we go into the clubs and also do information work in the club scene. We just started an initiative called Kiss Kiss Berlin, and again going to clubs and collecting kisses. So we offer information in different ways. I brought you some information material here to explain to you. And we receive the support of almost 80, we have founded a tolerance federation comprising 80 organizations and institutions in Berlin. And members are the major LGBT events, the organizing, the institutions behind it. We have business partners, LGBT business partners, and so on. What we also do is public awareness. So
I think now we have really to come to the end. It's
okay.
really interesting.
Okay.
And
So
I think maybe you could
just show you
fine.
an example. The music is poor, sorry. This is a little social spot we made with the German TV and Film Academy in Berlin. very heavy. It's shown in picture houses in Berlin to raise awareness. This is protect every kiss. It's 50-second, and we have the security camera as the second spot, and the motto is don't look away. You can see two men kissing each other, approached by a group of 4 young men, harassing, intimidating them. And then attacking them. Don't look away. These 2 social spots cause a lot of problems in Croatia, but this is another story because we gave them to Croatia. Okay, I can't go into this anymore. I would
But
like to.
maybe we can ask
Yes,
one question
sure.
in the big discussion
Okay.
afterwards.
Yes.
Because I would like to have some information about your empowerment work and all that, but we have really come to the end now. Thank you very much. Mr. Wagner, maybe just one question, not more, because some people have to leave quite shortly. So maybe just one question now and the rest in the big discussion. Okay.
I would like to announce a question, if you allow.
Yeah.
It's my